Hello everyone, it's Decktionary. Today we are playing Bant Birthing Ritual build, and this is actually old brew from my channel. I have previous video of the similar build on my channel where I also played a couple of Neoforms, so you would be able to turn 3 Neoform your Kotal or Oracle into Oculus, Eternal Witness, Renegade Relier, or some other hate piece or something else. Okay, so I thought that back then that a couple of Neoforms are pretty sweet in the build, but now especially with the addition of Quantum Riddler, there's just not enough room to play stuff like that and add a bunch of one-offs in the 3-drop slot. So I wanted to have only the best cards in a 3-drop slot, and that is the Oculus. You always want to find Oculus in the first game, and I also added one Glasspool Mimic, which I'm very happy about. Glasspool Mimic was often great find. You could like sack your Oracle to find the second Solitude or second Riddler. The Glasspool Mimic worked so well. I really liked it. Also helps the blue card for count for the Force of Negation in the post-board games. And okay, so Endurance is mostly card you want to find in the post-board games when you boarded it. So these are the premium 3 mana spells. I also added one Renegade Relier. A Renegade Relier can be pretty sweet in a Birthing Ritual deck. It also helps the white card count, but let's say this is my flex spot. This could also be like the 4th Prismatic ending, but I prefer having one Relier instead of a 4th ending. But everything else feels so good and don't want to change anything. So total with Mimic and Winch Enchanter there is 23 lands in this build, and I'm pretty happy with that number. I had more, I had less, and I liked this the most. Okay, so that's it. Failure is great in this deck. A lot of targets like Kotal, like Oracle, Solitude, Riddler, always something you can flicker. Also, it can, if it's useless, you can always sacrifice it on Ritual. And I really liked Failure here, of course, in addition to just scamming Riddler on turn 3 and winning a lot of games like that. In the sideboard we got Clarion Conquerors. This is another premium 3-drop that doesn't bother our deck at all, but completely stops some decks, especially artifact decks. So Clarion Conqueror plus a Force of Vigor in the sideboard is a really strong combination to win against artifact based decks. Force of Negation plus Consign plus Flare of Denial in the sideboard means we have a lot of counter spells to play against combo decks. Also, with addition of white, we get access to Wrath of the Skies, which is just insanely powerful card. And I always preferred this Bant build over Simic. People, I get the appeal of Simic, and I get that Harbinger of the Seas is much stronger in Simic. I also played Harbinger of the Seas in this build for a lot of time. It worked well. I think you can really play it. You can play like 4, but you can play one in the main and one in the side. When I had Neoforms, they worked so much better because you could tutor it with Neoform when needed. So when I removed the Neoforms, I decided to get rid of Harbingers as well. I needed slots to fit in the Quantum Riddler stuff, of course. So that's it. We can now go to the gameplay and see how the games went. This deck was just so fun, and my main fear was how it's going to be against Esper Riddler, but I ended up doing pretty good against Esper Riddler, and in the end it seemed like I'm favored in those games. I also did well against artifact decks, which is something I expected. Okay, so here it is, match 1. Let's see, I'm playing against artifact deck. Opponent is really close here to maybe casting Kappa or something like that. This is why I keep Solitude on top. I was definitely fearing them maybe having Kappa on turn 3. That is very strong play, and Solitude is one of the ways I can beat that. Okay, so here it is, Kappa Cannoneer. I'm not going to be able to hit it next turn. But yeah, so I can wait on the turn after this. I can pitch cast Solitude, pay 4 mana, and okay, so here I actually got another land with Coiling Oracle. That is when I decided to just blink this Oracle and play my other Felia on the end step. I also now have Flare of Denial. Flare of Denial feels great in this situation. I have to protect my Solitude Pitchcast next turn. If they have like counter, that would be really deadly and would win them the game. Okay, opponent goes in with Kappa, and if I'm able to kill Kappa here, I'm pretty sure I can win this game. Okay, so before they draw a card with Bubble, I go for Solitude, pay the ward trigger and get rid of their Kappa, and now I also have Flare of Denial and Felia. This feels amazing. I can just continue drawing cards, and yeah, pretty much opponent is locked at this point. Let's see what they try to do here. A Thought Monitor, and yeah, I use this situation to counter this Thought Monitor. My opponent is on 0 cards at the moment, and now I can also play Oculus plus Ritual next turn. So yeah, basically game over. Unless they draw another Kappa, maybe I can be in trouble, but yeah. Okay, I go for another Felia attack and step. If I find a better target, yeah, here it is, another Oculus. So now I have 2 Oculus on the field. Opponent is on 0 cards in hand. And yeah, they concede. Okay, so we are playing against artifact decks. So Conqueror, Wrath of the Skies, Force of Vigor, 1 Flare of Denial go in. Flare of Denial goes in because I want to be able to counter Kappa Cannoneer. That is their main card, but I don't have too many slots because I'm already bringing so many stuff in. So here it is, the sideboarding plan for Affinity, which worked out so well for me with this deck. I won many games against Affinity. It seemed like a pretty good matchup with all the hate available. Yeah. Okay, so opponent starts with Lava Spore Boots, Ornithopter's Drum on turn 1. This could mean they have something strong on turn 2. Witch Enchanter on top. I decided to keep Witch Enchanter and get rid of Ornithopter. This prevents them from playing maybe Kappa on this turn. So I went for it, and now I can also potentially go for Wrath of the Skies immediately. But I decided to wait a turn so I can also kill Springleaf Drum and Lava Spore Boots and all that. Okay, opponent goes for Thought Monitor. And another Springleaf Drum, and okay, Lava Spore Boots equipped, that's totally fine. So now I'm free. Now I'm free to go for Wrath of the Sky. My opponent doesn't have any mana open, so I can just kill their entire board except for Thought Monitor. That's pretty good. Next turn I can hardcast a Quantum Riddler. Seems like a pretty bad situation for opponent. Okay, so I decide to just pay 3 life and play the Quantum Riddler as a 4/6 here. It blocks their Thought Monitor, and now I can start attacking. And yeah, I can also just go for another Riddler. Let's see what happens here. I find another land, so this means I can actually just hardcast my second Riddler for 5 mana here. That is excellent. And now 2 replacement effects means I draw 3 cards. Yeah, that's super good. I have 1 Riddler attacking, 1 Riddler blocking. Next turn, when I untap, I will maybe be able to play both Oculus and Clarion Conqueror. Okay, I go in with everything. I attack with Oracle so I can play Oculus without much effort. So I go for Oculus first. And then I also play Clarion Conqueror. This is also a 3/3 flyer. And yeah, I have too much stuff and opponent concedes. Let's check out match 2. Okay, so in match 2, not the greatest hand. Pretty medium. Basically, Witch Enchanters are lands here, so I only thing I can do is like Icefang Kotal and have like a Flare of Denial. That is pretty weak turn against Prowess. especially since they have double lava dart. Icefang Kotal is not going to go well against that. I have to pay 3 life here, unfortunately, to play my prismatic ending. Okay, so next turn I can hold a Flare of Denial. Let's see what they do. I have Flare of Denial. Yeah, I really have to counter this. I have to find removal, and if I can find... I go for Icefang Kotal, and playing Birthing Ritual here is a bit risky. Yeah, they have Lava Dart, so they can just, of course, kill my Kotal. But I force them to play Lava Dart from the yard. This means sacrificing a land as well. Let's see if they have another creature here. Unfortunately for me, this is a Slick Shot followed by double Mutagenic Growth for lethal damage here. And yeah, there's just nothing I can do. Pretty good top deck for opponent in this situation. And yeah, okay, so of course the Kotal and the Oracles and the entire deck is not that good against Prowess Lava Darts and other stuff. But that is the deck, and yeah, I put in some Flare of Denials, hopefully to counter some crucial spells with it, like Slick Shots and Patience. And I want as many removal as I can. Also mana base, quite painful against them, and the clock with this deck is not always the greatest. Okay, Force of Negation is actually good. That can often... here is Ephemerate, that is really good. Force of Negation can counter their Lava Dart, that can be really important. Here is one Lava Dart in the yard. And they already have Delirium on turn 2. Okay, so I can go for Quantum Riddler scam, that seems pretty good. I go for a Riddler, and I have Ephemerate, of course. So this is one good blocker for their channelers attacking me next turn. And I have Force of Negation to protect me against Unholy Heat or whatever. Let's see what opponent does. Okay, here is a Cory Steel Cutter. I think I definitely want to counter Cory Steel Cutter. Yeah, that's definitely one of the cards I brought Force of Negation in for. And yeah, there is a Swiss Spear, and I jump with Oracle. Opponent has Mutagenic Growth. Here saves their Dragon Rage Channeler and then Lava Darts me to kill my Riddler. That's okay. I have Icefang Kotal. I can put it in upkeep and then I blink it so my Ephemerate doesn't go to waste. I also have a bunch of couple of prismatic endings in my hand. I will have to pay 3 life to play another ending here. Okay, that's fine. So it seems if I survive next turn, I should be pretty good. Opponent has a Lava Dart here, and then Swiss Spears attack me down on 5. And yeah, again I have Oracle, and I also find a land to play Ritual immediately, but again, unfortunately, opponent has a Lava Dart, and yeah, that Lava Dart is just so good against this Birthing Ritual deck. And we can see here opponent finds... I was almost stabilized, almost, but not quite, and opponent got there with the cheap spells and a bunch of Lava Darts. So yeah, they got the game. It was seems like a pretty hard matchup, this classic EZ Prowess. Okay, so let's go check out game 3. Okay, this seems like a pretty solid hand. I have ending, Ritual plus Oracle. Everything seems pretty good here. Okay, so I go for ending. I find my basics in case they have Harbinger. So I have my basics solved. I play prismatic ending, but opponent unfortunately has Force of Negation. This is obviously very good for them. They will be able to connect with Frog probably even this and next turn as well. But they go for Kaito here. And they also put Kaito after connecting with Frog. That's pretty strong. Then surveil and draw a card with Kaito already on the field, and now this is definitely a problem for me because Kaito is hard for me to kill. I don't have strong creatures that can attack it for a lot of damage. Okay, let's see what happens. Opponent again can attack with Kaito here, and yeah, I will let the damage through. Next turn I'm hoping to go Coiling Oracle plus Birthing Ritual again. Okay, so let's go for Coiling Oracle first. I go for Coiling Oracle, resolve the Oracle, and I really want to resolve Birthing Ritual. So I was thinking for going for Solitude first, maybe baiting them with that, but in the end I go for Birthing Ritual, and my opponent ends up having a counterspell here. Seems like they have everything. I still have Solitude, so I can kill this frog. First they will have, if they want to go through with damage, they will have to exile 3 from their graveyard with frog. Okay, but a lot of stuff on their side, really a lot of stuff. Definitely hard game for me. Another Kaito trigger, draws them more cards, digs them more cards, yeah, and I have double Solitude, but it still is not great. Okay, there is a Tamio as well. They go in for a lot of damage, so I go for my Solitude. They have counterspell here as well, and yeah, I can kill the frog, but that is game over. I will have to win the remaining 2 games here. I bring in some endurances, and nothing much, just trim 1 Felia, 1 Ephemerate, bring 1 Relier to bring in couple of endurance, and that's it. A Clarion Conqueror can lock their frog, but overall it's probably not worth it. Okay, so this is pretty good hand, pretty happy with this one. Okay, so let's try it. I go for Meticulous Archive, put Coiling Oracle into graveyard. I wanted to find another land here. Opponent goes for Surveil. And yeah, so I have Flare of Denial. If I draw a land, I can scam the Riddler next turn. This seems amazing. No land, unfortunately. No land, unfortunately, but I can still go for a Riddler and hope to draw a land with Riddler. Okay, so here it is. If I don't draw a land with Riddler, I can always just play it later. And yeah, I use this Flare of Denial to counter Orcish Bowmaster. Yeah, and unfortunately no land for me here, but it's okay. I have Coiling Oracle, I can just continue drawing cards next turn. I will get to that land eventually, and I have Solitude Ephemerate now as well, which Solitude is good against them, kills all their creatures. And finally, here is that land I was looking for. Here is another land on top. I decide to keep that. Definitely need lands in this situation. So now I'm pretty close to casting this Oculus. I have 5 cards in the graveyard. Opponent goes I go for Prismatic Ending, try to kill their frog. Let's see if they have a counter. Yes, they do. And yeah, I mean, I can go for Solitude Scam here. Take their frog, so they can't play a creature next turn, and I have Oculus I can play. So let's see what happens. Okay, I go attack with Solitude. I decide to go for Oculus here. If they counter, I still have Quantum Riddler I can play next turn, so that's fine. Opponent ends up having Counterspell. I have stuff I can play. Kotal to find a 5th land, then Riddler. Okay, this is perfect. So I have Kotal plus Birthing Ritual. This turn my opponent has to have... they have to have counter again, or they are in big trouble. Yeah, they have Fatal Push, but that is a good sign. I resolve my ritual and I go for a Surveil. I'm hoping to find a Riddler or another Solitude immediately here. I don't find that, but I have Oculus, so I will take Oculus definitely. Oculus is great. and Failure is my manifested card. This means I can pay 2 mana, attack, and flicker this Murktide, make it into a 3/3, which is not a big threat at the moment for me. Okay, so here is another Murktide, so this one is now 8/8, but I already have Failure. I can play another Oculus, I can play another Birthing Ritual, and this is just keeps getting better and better for me. Okay, so I attack here with Failure. They will kill it with my with their Murktide, but their 8/8 Murktide is now a 3/3. And I decide not to sacrifice anything. I don't want to sacrifice my Oculus, but they have to stay back with their Murktide to trade with my Oculus and basically chump my Oculus next turn because I have lethal on board. And yeah, opponent concedes. I continue to game 3 with the same sideboarding plan. Only couple of endurances went in. Okay, so Prismatic Ending, I immediately remove their Tamio. Again, I have Quantum Riddler on Scam on turn 3, which definitely can win matchups like this one. So I can go for Surveil, I can also go for a Basic. Okay, with this, with the Flooded Strand, I go for a Basic. With Heat, I can maybe take I go for a Surveil. With Heat, I can maybe take a Basic. Yeah, here is a Forest, and I go for a Riddler. And my opponent seems like they are stuck on 1 mana, and I do the Riddler scam, and my opponent concedes the match, so I got the easy game 3 there because of the screw. Okay, so let's check out match 4. My opponent tot seizes me. My hand is solid, but they take Oculus. I'm very far from casting Oculus still, but yeah, it's a big threat in the late game, and this seems like a mid-rangey matchup. Okay, I have a Coiling Oracle, and I have Ephemerate to protect it, and it seems like my opponent is on Esper. So I go for a Surveil in upkeep and find a Birthing Ritual. That is great, and at the same time I have Ephemerate to protect my Coiling Oracle, so that seems pretty good. Let's see what I find. With Birthing Ritual, opponent takes 1 white mana, probably thinking I maybe have like Harbinger of the Seas, and here is Failure for them. Unfortunately, unfortunately they can scam their Overlord or whatever if they have it, but in response to Totsis, I decide to go Ephemerate my Calling Oracle. And here I find Solitude. I think, yeah, this was, I think, a misclick here. I just went Ephemerate and clicked F6 after Ephemerate, not counting that I could maybe draw Solitude. And my plan was definitely to Solitude the Failure, but since I was F6, I was not able to do it on time, and my opponent got to discard that instead. It is what it is. My opponent now has Riddler scam. I will have to beat that. Okay, so I go for another Coiling Oracle, and here is another Birthing Ritual. Unfortunately, can't play it this turn. I decide to play my Mimic as a land, and I find Oculus here. Oculus, pretty strong threat. I can block the Riddler, and manifesting more creatures. They have Fatal Push here, and then a Bogart Roller to clear my graveyard. But when I untap, I have another Birthing Ritual and another creature to sacrifice to Birthing Ritual. That seems pretty good. And I also get to play this Riddler for 2 mana, draw 2 cards. I can also sacrifice it on the end step. Yeah, so here, let's see what I find. Here is Solitude, so I can sacrifice my Riddler, find Solitude, kill their Riddler, and then I also have a second ability, bunch of stuff here. I can go for a Renegade Rallier again, and return a Coiling Oracle. And after all that, my opponent just concedes. That was too much stuff going on there. And my opponent actually immediately concedes entire match. So we are off to a last match of this league. playing against artifact deck again. Maybe or not. Okay, it's maybe not. I think this was mono black. Let's see. My opponent plays Inquisition of Kozilek. Birthing Ritual seems as best discard at this moment. Okay, so I play my Flooded Strand and pass a turn. Opponent Thoughtseize plus Nethergoyf here discards my Quantum Riddler. Okay, I go for a birthing. I go for Kotal on my turn in case opponent has Bowmaster. They probably do have it. So I go for my turn so I don't trigger the Bowmaster with it. And okay, so they sacrifice a land and go for attack with Nethergoyf, then play the Kozilek command to make their Nethergoyf into 5/6. So this is probably like the mono black saga build. Okay, so my opponent is stepped out. I have a double ephemerate, so I can jump the Nethergoyf, then try to ephemerate it. Or if they try to kill it before, yeah, Ephemerate seems like it could be decent here. Unfortunately, Emperor of the Bones seems pretty good for them since they are on one card in hand, and now Emperor of the Bones brings back Riddler, drawing them 2 cards. That is amazing. I find 2 lands here, and as I said before, I jump the Nethergoyf and of course go for Ephemerate here. I take 4 damage. But yeah, now I have Solitude Scam available for me next turn, and that is going to be truly big. Okay, I'm on 8. Okay, so first I go for Icefang Kotal Blink. I find another Ephemerate that is really huge. If they have something like Dismember maybe on their turn, I can have another Ephemerate to just be invincible basically in this situation. And now I take their Nethergoyf, I take their Emperor of the Bones. They still have 3 cards in hand, but I am in a big advantage at the moment. Okay, so my opponent uses their land, I think. No, it's a Kozilek command. Okay. A Kozilek command here to dig. They got a bunch of mana. I don't know if they play any big spells. I go for Icefang Kotal Blink here again. Opponent goes for Orcish Bowmaster. I think I will just let my opponent kill my Icefang Kotal here and blink my Solitude. Riddler on top, that is a great card to have on top, so I definitely want that. But actually my opponent hoped to kill my Solitude, but that didn't end up well for my opponent. So I exile their Bowmaster and then still get to draw a card with Icefang Kotal. Yeah, that ended up pretty bad for them. Okay, I also find Oculus on top, and yeah, next turn I can cast Oculus. I can also cast the Riddler. Yeah. Opponent pays 7 mana here. They go Kozilek command, exile my Solitude, but that's not a big deal. I don't think they can dig out of this situation if they don't have some big spells. They take my Oculus. I still have a Riddler. It's still not. I'm still not in a good situation. Okay, here is also another Birthing Ritual and another Coiling Oracle. This just keeps getting better. And another Coiling Oracle. I play Birthing Ritual and decide not to pay 2 life to go for another Oracle. That didn't seem necessary at the moment. I have blockers for a next turn. I can easily jump Totnot. Opponent goes for another Totnot Seer. Takes my Coiling Oracle. And what is the last card? The Emperor of the Bones as well. We don't have anything big in the yard. And yeah, so I find I give my Ice Fang a dead touch because I have 3 snow-covered basics, and I kill Totna Seer that way. Then I can exile. I can exile their Emperor of the Bones and play Quantum Riddler, draw 2 cards, and then sacrifice it to find Solitude, exile their Totnot, and draw another card. This is just complete blowout. I can now go for Oculus, Ice Fang, Phalia, Ritual is on the field. Yeah, at this point there is just no chance opponent can get out of this. And yeah, end turn I also I only go for another Kotal, but yeah, there's just too much stuff going on here. I could take yeah, okay. So that is it. Easy win in, not easiest win, but that Solitude scam definitely helped it make it easy to win this one. Exiling Nethergoyf and Emperor of the Bones in that situation was crucial. Okay, some Endurances and Flare of Denials go in, and I'm ready for a game 2. Okay. Okay, so opponent plays first, again goes for Thoughtseize, and they take my land, I think. Witch Enchanter is a land, but I immediately draw a land from the top, so that discard didn't really work out for them. Okay, they, yeah, play Emperor of the Bones, I go for a Surveil, and I keep Coiling Oracle. On top, I wanted to play it this turn. It's a good ephemerate target, but maybe it was, I think it was maybe better to play a Phalia this turn. Maybe I did it for Flare of Denial, so I can counter if they play, this was the turn, like they could play Totnot, so I wanted to have Flare of Denial, but yeah, it was close. It's ideal in these situations if you have both Phalia and Ice Fang, then you can hold Ice Fang if it's if you need Flare, or you can just go for Ice Fang. If you don't need it, you can go for Phalia. Both creatures have Flash. That is such a big deal in this build. And yeah, so now I have Calling Oracle already on the field, so I can use my Flare. And I definitely want to put Phalia on the field this turn, start attacking. Yeah, so I definitely wanted to counter the Bowmaster. And yeah, opponent now makes their Emperor 4/4, gets the draw with the Oracle, and attacks me for 5. I now have a Phalia, but opponent also finds Fatal Push, so they can continue attacking me. I'm already down on 9, and I just could not find a land I needed on time. Opponent goes for Overlord, and I'm hoping to go for Phalia next turn again, and then start blinking the Oracle. Okay, so I have Ice Fang as well now. I go for Oracle, hoping it will hit a land. Then I can blink Oracle and then ephemerate it, but this did not end well. Opponent, I did not find the land. Opponent has Orcish Bowmaster again, so I concede, and with a few changes, I'm ready for game 3. A 3-1 at the moment in this league, so we're playing for a 4-1, and I'm playing first. My hand is pretty solid, so I don't have another mana to play Calling Oracle. But here it is, I find it, surveil it from the top, and my graveyard is already full, so I can very easily play this Oculus soon, but my opponent has another Thoughtseize, so they take care of both Birthing Ritual and Oculus from my hand. They also play Nethergoyf, so I go for Coiling Oracle there, and I have Flare of Denial, so that seems pretty good. It seems like it can buy me enough time to do some stuff. Okay, here is another Thoughtseize. I have double Flare, and I don't really care what they take. from my hand at this moment. Only spells I would use Flare on at the moment are like Orcish Bowmaster and the Totnut Seer probably, or maybe a big Kozilek Command. So I can just hopefully find more spells to dig. Here is, I can play Witch Enchanter just as a creature or maybe as a chumper here. I decide to, Nethergoyf. I can chump if needed. I can also continue attacking because they are down on 8 life. That is, so they even use Fatal Push to get rid of the Witch Enchanter here. So here is Eldrazi Temple, so now they have more mana. And they take my graveyard. I only have one Oculus left in the deck anyway. I decided not to counter the Boggart Troller. I can easily trade with Troller with my Oracle or Ice Fang, and I find the Birthing Ritual in this situation. This was amazing, and I only have one Oculus left in deck, but finding another Kotal is amazing. With another basic, I'm close to finding Death Touch on it as well. I think the Overlord of the Bailmerk definitely deserves a Flare of Denial. So I don't want to trade. Because I want to find a good spell here to okay, so I go to end step, remove their graveyard, so their Nethergoyf now becomes 0/1. And I did not find anything I want to sack here, but I now have Endurance as blocker for both of their creatures, so my opponent can't really attack efficiently in this situation. They go for a small Kozilek Command only for 0. They probably should have done it for a bit more. Okay, so I decide to use Flare of Denial here. I sacrifice my Ice Fang, and now their Nethergoyf is a 3/4, so they still don't have a good attack here. Archive, Riddler on top. I was hoping to find Oculus, so I put Riddler in the graveyard. Yeah, but this was not great. Should have left Riddler on top probably. Okay. Here is another Nethergoyf, and I find Ice Fang from the top. That is actually great, and finding second ritual with it was even better. So now I can find another Endurance, again remove their graveyard, and with the second ritual I finally find that third Oculus, and from now on it's an easy game for me. Their Nethergoyfs are 0/1. I have Oculus, which is a 2-turn clock here. My opponent has a Desperate Attack here. Okay, so pretty desperate attack here. And what did they find? They find a Toxic Deluge. And yeah. But I have 2 rituals on the field, and here is also Flare of Denial and Oracle in my hand, and yeah, definitely big game over. My opponent concedes, and I have lethal on the next turn, and that is a 4/1 with this sweet Bant Ritual build. I love this deck so much, it's so fun to play, and I really prefer having Bant instead of Simic for this archetype, because white has so many answers, and now also there is Riddler, which is like one of the best blue cards, and the Ritual plays so well with it. I think one of the best things to play with Riddler is Ritual. So like going turn 2 Ritual into turn 3 Riddler, draw a card, then find a Solitude or find another Riddler is actually insane. And not to mention that you also have a Thalia and Ephemerate to scam it, so there are so many ways to what to do with Riddler in this deck. It's actually phenomenal. I really love it, and this was one of the most fun decks I tried lately, and always have something to do. Threats are great, very strong. Thalia does a lot with the entire deck. It synergizes with everything. Ritual is great, wins games so easily. Having Solitude, Ephemerate, in a deck, and also Riddler with all that, this deck actually feels very strong. Okay, I'm very happy with the sideboard. Sideboard had some very strong cards as well, all staples, basically all staples of the format. I don't even have space to play full playset of Consign, so you know how packed the sideboard is. And that's it. So I hope you like the gameplay, hope you like today's video. Friendly reminder to click like, click subscribe, comment down below in the video, and tell me, what do you think of this build in comparison to the Simic deck that is popular in the last month or two? And yeah, so thank you for watching until now, and that's all for today. Goodbye.